Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of the Roundabout Way of Fate. This will be Part 34, Chapter 22, entitled The Injury. On the Monday before finals week, Izuku finally manages to completely stop his quirk. It takes an incredible amount of concentration, and he almost feels physically tired afterwards, but he succeeds. He shuts off his quirk halfway through healing a burn on a student's arm and promptly shrieks with happiness, much to the student's confusion. He finds Nejiri as soon as he can and thanks her profusely while she whoops and glomps him. His friends cheer when he tells them during class the next day, and All Might congratulates him. Even Aizawa gives him an encouraging nod. Recovery Girl is pleased too. "Good job, Midoriya-kun," she says. "I'm incredibly proud of you for working so hard to accomplish this." He beams and tries not to blush. "I wanted to wait until you were at least in your third semester, but I know how eager you are to get your license." He perks up, hope flaring in his chest. "I think, and I can't make any promises, but I think I can pull some strings and have you do the license exam in the beginning of your second semester." Before he can get too excited, Recovery Girl adds, "It's going to be a provisional license, so there will be many restrictions, understand? You're still going to need some degree of supervision or guidance, and you absolutely won't be able to do surgeries or anything like that. Not that I've even taught you that." "But," Izuku prompts, green eyes practically sparkling. Recovery Girl gives him a chiding look and smiles. "But you will be allowed to heal pro heroes." "Yes!" he shouts, punching the air with his fist. "Yes, yes, yes!" "We will keep on training you to control your quirk," his mentor says over his cheers. "And you will go slow if you heal Toshinori-kun. I don't care if it takes days or even weeks. I do not want you draining yourself for that man. And he won't appreciate it either if you pass out on him." I know, Izuku says, practically vibrating with excitement. Finally, he's getting somewhere. He's so close to healing All Might and Ingenium. All he has to do is pass the license exam, which, by the way, what will that entail? How much does he have to study? Is it written, or is it just a demonstration of his quirk? Or both? What if he... As if she can read his mind, Recovery Girl says, "Don't worry about the license exam now. I'll do everything I can to prepare you for it. But first, you need to focus on passing your final exams. Don't you want to go on that summer camp trip?" "Right, yes." Izuku nods. As much as he wants to start rushing to prepare for the future, he needs to concentrate on what's just ahead of him. School comes first. He knows that, of course. That still doesn't stop him from being on a high for the rest of the week, though. Despite the pressure from the upcoming exams, it feels as if a weight has been lifted off his chest. He feels lighter and more carefree than ever before. He laughs with his friends at lunch and kicks Shinso's ass during training, and he even joins a few study sessions when he can, although he mostly just ends up goofing around with Kaminari and Ashido. His friends notice his brighter mood, too. Every time he manages to stop his quirk during his after-school lessons, his chest fills with warmth. A hopeful voice in the back of his mind whispers, "This is it. You're so close. You're so close to fixing everything. All Might's going to be strong again, and Ingenium will run again, and you won't have to worry about villains or anything." He supposes it's only inevitable that his high would come crashing down. It happens on a Friday. It's the last day of actual learning before the hell of finals week. Their afternoon hero lesson turns out to be a joint lesson between classes 1A and 1B. Competition is in the air as All Might describes their training exercise, which seems to be some form of capture the flag. Since it will involve direct combat with quirks, and will no doubt result in injuries, Izuku won't be participating. The two classes bicker good-naturedly as they make their way over to the Gamma field. It's been renovated by Cementos to make it a more difficult terrain, not unlike the landslide area of USJ. Everyone except Izuku changes into their standard training uniforms while he gets to wear his healer costume. It doesn't include his capture weapon yet, since he's still not great at using it, but it will one day. "All right, guys," Izuku says chidingly as they leave the changing rooms, tying up his ponytail. "I know you hero types like to get competitive, but try and play nice. Got it?" "Fuck no. We ain't playing nice." Kachan bares his teeth as he leers at the Class B students. "We're gonna blow their asses up to bits." "Metaphorically," Kirishima chirps, plopping an arm around Kachan's shoulder. However, even he looks competitive. The Class B students are a bit more refined, but no less eager. "Enjoy the spotlight while you still have it," Monoma says smoothly. "Because in just a few minutes, Class B is going to knock you off your pedestal." "Don't you dare underestimate us," Tetsu warns. Kachan opens his mouth to retort, but Izuku interrupts him. "Okay, time to go." He pushes the blonde forward and drags Kirishima away with his free hand. The rest of his classmates follow him, but he can see the looks they shoot towards their rivals. "Save it for the field." The training commences soon afterwards, and Izuku watches from the sidelines with the teachers. The platform he, All Might, Aizawa, and Vlad King stand on is slightly elevated, so that they can better see the students move around the rough terrain. It's fun to watch. Izuku, of course, is mostly just keeping an eye out for injuries, but he can't help silently rooting for his classmates. He inhales sharply when Ashido nimbly evades an attack from Monoma and smiles when Todoroki defends their flag from two other Class B students. All Might and Vlad King occasionally call out encouragements or warnings. Aizawa watches silently, but Izuku can tell that he's pleased when he sees his students expertly working together to achieve their goal. Class B, however, doesn't go down so easily. Even though they didn't experience their own villain attack, their skills in combat are actually pretty good. Izuku can see that even some of his more proficient classmates are having trouble against the other students. He wonders how their training differs from Class A's training. There are some obvious differences in how Vlad King treats his students compared to Aizawa, the former being noticeably more friendly, but Izuku isn't sure if that would correlate to the skill of his students. His idle musings are suddenly interrupted by a blood-curdling scream. Startled, he tears his gaze away from where he was watching Kirishima wrestle with Tetsu and quickly looks for the source of the screaming. It's coming from Class B's part of the field, but he can't see anyone on the ground. However, he does see multiple students stop and run over to a particular mountain of rubble. "Sensei!" someone shrieks from behind the rubble. "Sensei! Sensei!" Izuku has already jumped off the platform and is dashing across the field, the other teachers on his heels a moment later. It feels like it takes ages to reach the rubble, his legs not moving nearly as fast as he needs them to. All Might gets there first, and he only stops and stares for a moment before he turns and frantically calls for Izuku. When the boy finally reaches the scene, time seems to slow down. A group of students are crowding around someone lying on the ground, Kendo, his mind supplies. She's the one who is screaming so terribly. And Izuku immediately notices why. Her right leg is broken badly, splayed out at an awkward angle and bleeding profusely. The jagged edge of her femur juts out of a messy gash in her blood-soaked skin, the sight of it making Izuku's heart leap to his throat. It's probably one of the worst injuries he's ever seen, but the severity only makes him rush over faster. "Out of my way!" he shouts as he shoves his way through the crowd. Kendo's teammates back away hastily as he drops to his knees beside her, making a little splash in the pool of blood that steadily grows beneath her. "What happened?" Vlad King demands behind him. Monoma's the only one that hasn't moved, staring down at Kendo with wide eyes. It was an accident," he stammers, face pale. She She was jumping, and I didn't mean to. Izuku doesn't pay attention to what he says, too busy analyzing Kendo's broken leg. He knows immediately that he can't just heal her right away, not with her bone sticking out like that. He'll have to fix it first, but he can't be too hasty or otherwise he'll end up healing it wrong. But God, she is losing blood so quickly. Will he even have time to fix it before she bleeds out? Panic builds within him like a wave, poised to crash down on him and drown him in fear. Crap, crap, crap. This is bad. This is really bad. It doesn't help that Kendo is still awake and screaming in pain. Fuck. He wishes she was unconscious for this. Her cries are making everyone around him panic, and he can hear a few students sobbing. They're crying and scared, and he is too, but he needs to be strong right now. He's the only one who knows what to do, and he needs to do it right. So he swallows down his fear and focuses on what's in front of him. First things first, stop the bleeding. Blood is pouring out of the gash far too quickly for normal. It's gushing out in rhythmic spurts, and he realizes that her femoral artery must have been severed by her broken bone. He needs to put pressure. But if he makes a tourniquet, he'll risk causing further damage to her femur. So that leaves only one option. Inhaling sharply, he puts one gloved hand on her leg to steady it before carefully sliding his other hand into the gash, the wound making a sickening, squelching sound as he does so. Kendo wails even louder, and he struggles not to gag, feeling around the torn flesh for the severed edge of her artery. He finds it and pinches it as hard as he can until the blood stops spurting between his fingers. Kendo shrieks, the cry sounding as if it's being ripped from her throat. The wave of panic threatens to rise again, but Izuku forces himself to continue. Next. What's next? The bone. He needs to fix the bone. He'll probably heal it wrong, but Kendo can't wait for Recovery Girl to reach her. She'll bleed to death long before then. He just needs to set the bone as best he can. He needs more hands. Both of the classes have gathered around him at this point, either staring in horror or openly sobbing. He needs someone stable, someone who won't panic, someone like Aizawa-sensei! He shouts. The man is by his side in an instant. Reaching into his bag with his free hand, he pulls out a couple of latex gloves and shoves them at him. Put these on. Aizawa immediately obeys and kneels down on Kendo's other side. What do you need me to do? Pinch the artery, Izuku orders. I need both my hands to set her bone. Feel where I'm pinching. Aizawa's hand slides over his, fingers feeling around the throbbing artery in Izuku's grasp. He nods. I'm going to pull away on 3, all right? I need you to pinch as hard as you can. Aizawa nods again, and Izuku counts. 1, 2, 3. He yanks his hand away, and Aizawa's takes over. Blood spews past his fingers. Harder, Izuku demands, and Aizawa pinches harder until the spurting stops. The rest of the wound is still bleeding heavily, but at least it's not gushing out. With the bleeding now relatively under control, Izuku turns his attention to the broken femur. Grabbing the slippery edge of her bone, he pushes it back down into the marred flesh until the two jagged ends meet. Unfortunately, it's not a clean break. He can spot a couple of broken pieces stabbing into torn muscle. Reaching into the gore, he grabs them and hastily slides them into what he hopes is their proper place before removing his hands. Biting the edges of his blood-soaked gloves, he tears them off in one swift movement. Hands out! He barks at Aizawa. As soon as the teacher lets go of the artery, blood starts spewing once more, but Izuku is quick to place his exposed hands on Kendo's leg. He doesn't even bother trying to control his quirk. The energy flows out of him rapidly in response to such a huge injury, trying to heal it as quickly as possible. The speed of it leaves him feeling dizzy and drained, but he almost cries with relief when he feels smooth, undamaged skin beneath his fingers. It's not over yet, though. Midoriya-kun. Aizawa's voice has him looking up. He follows the man's gaze to Kendo's face, taking in her pale skin and closed eyes. She must have fallen unconscious at some point. All too aware of the pool of blood beneath him, Izuku scrambles over to her upper body and stains her neck red as he feels for her pulse. Nothing. He blames it on his trembling fingers and presses his ear to her chest. Nothing. Her heart is silent and her lungs are still. The wave of panic surges once more, and this time he feels tears sting the edges of his eyes. Fuck, he hisses under his breath and immediately moves to start chest compressions. Seeing him begin CPR sends a spike of terror through the crowd around him. "Midoriya-kun," Aizawa exclaims. "What?" Stressed, Izuku snaps. "She's going into hemorrhagic shock." "What's that?" one of the students cries out. This is absolutely not the best time for an anatomy lesson, but he knows how badly they must be freaking out, so he hastily explains. "She lost way too much blood way too quickly, and her body can't compensate for the sudden drop in blood pressure. She's going into cardiac arrest." Counting to 30, he quickly gives Kendo 2 rescue breaths before going right back to chest compressions. All around him, he's aware of students shouting, students sobbing, and fuck, he wants to too. He's not qualified for this. He's a 15-year-old boy who's only ever done CPR on dummies under his mentor's guidance. He's just meant to heal scrapes and bruises, not restart someone's heart. He can't do this. He can't. He doesn't want to be responsible for someone's life. But he has to. He has to. He knows he has to, because everyone is relying on him too. He'd rather die than give up now. He has the quirk. He has the training. He just needs to stop panicking and think. His hands move robotically as he begins the 3rd round of chest compressions. Kendo still limp beneath him. This is taking too long. He racks his brain, trying to come up with some solution. He needs to restart her heart. He needs a defibrillator. He needs... "Kaminari-kun," he barks. "Come here." His friend startles. "Me?" "Now!" Izuku snaps. He'll regret how harsh he sounds later, but it gets Kaminari to scramble to his side swiftly. Not pausing the chest compressions, Izuku asks, "You can control how many volts you discharge, right?" "Huh?" Kaminari looks at him with wide eyes. "Yeah, why?" Stopping, Izuku hurriedly tears open Kendo's uniform, sparing a brief wince of apology when he exposes her bra. Kaminari splutters as Izuku orders, "I need you to shock her with 1,000 volts." "What?" Kaminari yelps, horrified. Izuku understands his panic and feels bad for asking so much from him, but there's no time to waste. I'm sorry, but please, Kaminari-kun." Without waiting for a response, Izuku quickly slides off one of Kendo's bra straps before grabbing Kaminari's hands and yanking him over, placing one above her right breast and the other over her left rib cage. "You need to be quick. Just a jolt, okay?" He leans back, not wanting to get affected by the electricity. "Now!" Kaminari swallows, visibly forcing back tears, before looking down at Kendo. He squeezes his eyes shut and activates his quirk. Kendo's body jerking once as the electricity surges through her. Kaminari immediately backs away a second later, and Izuku takes over once more. There are electrical burns on her chest now that he's quick to heal, before leaning down to press his ear against her sternum. Izuku feels his own heart give a leap of joy when he hears Kendo's heart throbbing faintly. He'll take a weak pulse over no pulse any day. Straightening up, he begins CPR again, but it only takes a few chest compressions before Kendo starts breathing again. The girl's gasps and coughs sound like music to Izuku's ears. He quickly rolls her onto her side where she promptly pukes, mixing vomit with blood. It's disgusting and it smells awful, but Izuku's never been happier to see someone throw up in his life. He pats her back and lets out a long, shaky exhale, looking up. Everyone stares at him and Kendo with unmistakable relief in their eyes. Someone cries out Kendo's name. A few people release a fresh wave of tears. Others look like they might faint, but everyone is visibly shaken, including the teachers. A hand touches his shoulder. All Might slowly kneels down next to him. "Young Midoriya, take her to Recovery Girl." Izuku interrupts, rolling Kendo onto her back once she's finished vomiting. She's not out of danger yet. Her blood pressure is dangerously low. She needs fluids that his quirk can't replace. "Tell her that she's in hemorrhagic shock and that she needs a blood transfusion immediately." All Might nods and begins to scoop Kendo, once again unconscious, up in his arms. As he does, Izuku glances at her classmates and asks, "Do any of you happen to know her blood type?" Most of the Class B students regretfully shake their heads, but one girl pipes up with a trembling voice. I think it's AB positive. She mentioned it once during our biology class." A universal recipient. Good. Izuku isn't sure how much blood Recovery Girl has stored, or if she even has any. But at least she won't have to worry about giving her the wrong blood type. Izuku nods at All Might. "Tell her that too. Go." With Kendo securely in his arms, All Might turns and disappears in a flash, leaving a trail of dust in his wake. Once he's gone, the tension in the air seems to leave with him, and reality sinks in once more. "God," one Class B student croaks. That was terrifying." Izuku finds himself wholeheartedly agreeing, although he doesn't say it aloud. Another girl looks at him worriedly. Is she going to be okay?" "I think so." Izuku swallows heavily, feeling dazed. The wave is still there, still building, still threatening to overwhelm him. But he forces it down once more, later. Wiping his sweaty forehead on his sleeve, he clears his throat and says, She needs fluids. My quirk, it can't replace blood. I think I probably healed her bone wrong, too, so she'll need surgery." A flash of panic ripples through Class B, but thankfully Aizawa intervenes. "Recovery Girl will take care of her," he says, his voice calm and steady. He looks down at Izuku, thinly veiled concern in his dark eyes. "Are you okay?" "No." "Yeah." Izuku tries to stand, but his legs feel numb. Aizawa gently helps him up, taking his arm and putting it over his shoulder when his legs wobble unsteadily. He didn't realize it earlier, but his whole body is trembling violently. Aizawa notices and glances at him questioningly. Izuku swallows again and tries to brush it off. "I just used my quirk a bit too quickly. It was a big injury, too, so—" Aizawa nods. "I'll take you too." He cuts himself off, turning to look at the students. Izuku can tell that he's torn. He wants to help Izuku, but he can't just leave Vlad King to take care of nearly 40 scared and probably now traumatized teenagers all by himself. Izuku makes the decision for him. "Don't worry, it's all right," he says, pulling away. "I can make it there on my own." Aizawa is clearly unconvinced, and so are his classmates. Kachan steps forward. "I'll take him." "No," Vlad King suddenly says. "Monoma-kun, you take him." Surprised, Izuku glances at Monoma. The boy is uncharacteristically quiet. In fact, Izuku doesn't think he's heard him make a single peep this entire time. He just stares at the pool of blood Kendo left behind, a haunted look in his eyes. He raises his head when Vlad King addresses him, but he still doesn't say a word. Vaguely, Izuku recalls him stammering something about it being an accident when his teacher demanded to know what happened. Whatever it was, Monoma's clearly feeling incredibly guilty about it. He probably isn't in a much better state of mind than Izuku, but part of him wonders if Vlad King just wants to give the boy something to do. So, ignoring Kachan's protests, Monoma quietly walks over to Izuku and takes Aizawa's place, wrapping Izuku's arm over his shoulder and bearing some of his weight. As they make their way out of the field, He hears his classmates murmur reassurances to Class B. "Don't worry, guys. Kendo-san is going to be totally fine." "I know that was scary, but Midoriya-kun took care of it." "Yeah, Midori-kun knows what he's doing. Kendo-san will be better before you know it." Despite everything, Izuku feels his heart warm at his classmates' trust in him. Then, they leave the field, and silence presses down on him. The walk to the infirmary takes minutes or hours, Izuku can't really tell. All he knows is that the wave is rising again, and without something to focus on, it's harder to ignore. His heartbeat pounds in his ears, drowning out all other sounds as his trembling slowly gets worse. The pressure and sickening terror threatens to return, and in a last-ditch attempt to delay it even further, Izuku turns his attention to Monoma. The boy's eyes are fixed on the ground, his jaw visibly clenched. He looks like he's on the verge of tears but is stubbornly refusing to cry. Izuku can relate. He doesn't realize they've reached the main building until they're standing right in front of the infirmary. Monoma watches him carefully as he slips his arm off, silently asking if he's okay to stand on his own. Izuku nods, and the blonde turns away without a sound. "Monoma-kun," Izuku rasps. Monoma pauses. You know, accidents happen. That's why I'm here, so it's okay." Monoma doesn't look at him, doesn't say anything, but after a moment he nods stiffly and continues walking away. Figuring he did the best that he could, Izuku pushes the door open and walks in. All right, listeners, this concludes the first half to Chapter 22 of The Roundabout Way of Fate. The second half to this chapter will be up next and is going to pick up right where we left off as Izuku's entering into the infirmary and as he is still continuing to try to push back that wave after being able to rescue and support a fallen Class B student. So let me know your all's thoughts and reactions to this chapter so far and the fic in general. Just a reminder that this fic is located over on AO3, so you can always slide over leaving comments, kudos, and support to the original author as well. I'm sure it's much appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.